Welcome. Thank you for coming, everyone. We wanted to have a good time with this. We've done a lot of webinars at North Sales, but a lot of them have been very lecture-y and informative and educational, but we wanted a different format. So we're mixing it up. My name is Bob Meagher. I work in North Sales, Fort Lauderdale. I spend a lot of time dealing with cruising clients. I've lived in Fort Lauderdale my whole life and figured I might have something to contribute. But then I realized, as you often have to do, you don't know nearly as much as you think you do. And it's better to go find the people that do. So I have done that. Some of you know them very well. This is Pam Wall, pretty much one of the queen of cruising in North America. She's been around the world. She knows the Bahamas like the back of her hand. She started an outfitting program at West Marine and was dealing with problems today. So what did I miss?
Oh, that I've crossed the Atlantic 6 times.
6 times.
And the first one was on my honeymoon in a 30-foot boat with no engine, no toilet, and a 1-burner kerosene stove. And all I can say is it was true love.
Yeah. And Cynthia Wummer's here. Cynthia Wummer's catamaran guru. Cynthia's you've done a little bit of everything, I think. The Caribbean every single year, racing, cruising.
But now I just sell catamarans.
Yes, you do.
Yes, I do. Happy to be here.
Happy to have you. So what we wanted to do was start to communicate some of what we know about Fort Lauderdale. So when people are coming to town and looking to stay for a day, a week, a month, a season, maybe this would be a resource that would help them shortcut to knowledge and figure it out. So, this is us. How you can get in touch with us when we absolutely fail to cover the one topic that you wanted us to cover. We'll present this at the end as well. But Fort Lauderdale, Venice of America. As people say, you can get just about anything you want for your boat here. But the first thing you have to do if you're coming abroad is check in. So Pam, real quick, in today's age, what's the easiest way for people to check in?
Actually, I'm going to ask Cynthia to do that. I can tell you about getting into Port Everglades. And if you're coming down the ICW, the Intercoastal Waterway, I can explain that to you too. So Cynthia, first.
So we have domestic and foreign.
Yeah, so there's two apps that you're going to want to download. One is the CBP, Charlie Bravo Papa app.gov, and the other one is Roam, ROAM. And you're going to want to download those 2 apps or either or, and you can check in virtually over the phone. So I would suggest doing that so you don't have to go to the Port Everglades physical facility. You can do it all online.
Great. No, that's the easy thing to do.
Oh, really? You don't have to go into the customs and immigration.
No, these are
that is
new
great.
days.
That is great.
Yes. New technology.
That used to take hours and hours.
Trying to find a taxi to get down there.
Yeah.
Oh, it's a pain. Yeah. So it's all automated.
Excellent. All right.
Well,
so
I'm going to explain a little bit about getting into us.
Perfect.
Actually, Port Everglades is one of the easiest inlets to get into. It's short. It doesn't have a lot of. It has a lot of current, with the tidal change, but it's not really that dramatic. There's a few things that you do need to watch out for. There's a big sandbar to the north of the inlet just before you come in. Stay clear of that. Red right returning, black sea buoy out there, very easy to come in. It's almost due west when you're coming in. The one thing that you do have to consider, there's a lot of cruise ships. So I would hesitate to recommend coming or leaving if there's a big cruise ship going in. But once you get into the inlet and you get into the Intercoastal Waterway, it's very easy to make a turn to the north to go down to Fort Lauderdale. You'll see a big bridge called the 17th Street Bridge, which opens on demand only on the hour and the half hour. You can only open that bridge on the hour or the half hour, and you have to call.
Not on demand, right?
Yeah, it's not, but they won't open it unless you call them.
Right, sure.
And I've also learned that if you're the third of 3 boats and the other 2 called and you didn't, you might get the bridge closed on you.
Exactly, that's what I'm saying. It's gotta be on. You've got to call them ahead of time.
Yep, sure.
On channel 9.
All right, so someone's coming in. First instinct, people are just going to want to anchor quickly. Anchorages, Fort Lauderdale. What do you think?
Okay, well, what I would suggest is coming in and turning right and going north through the 17th Street Causeway. And if you continue north on the causeway, you're going to take, on the intercoastal waterway, you're going to take sort of a hard right turn to the east. And you're going to come face to face with Bahia Mar Yachting Center. And if you look to the south of Bahia Mar Yachting Center, you'll see a big lake. It's called Lake Sylvia. And this is where so many boats come. It's easy to get into, the anchor. And a little later on, I think I'll give you some more instruction about that, especially if you have a deep draft boat.
No, tell them. Well, what do we have to do?
Okay, well, if you have it, my boat draws 6.5 feet, and I can easily get into Lake Sylvia, just the approach to it, just the short approach into Lake Sylvia. You have to play the tide a little bit. I only go in if it's half tide rising. So I only go out to if it's half tide rising. So I know my 6.5 foot draft won't touch the bottom anywhere. And once you break into Lake Sylvia, it's about, about 10 to 12 feet?
Yeah, it's plenty deep.
Yeah, good holding. There'll be a lot of boats there. I always suggest anchoring sort of close to the east end so that you're upwind of all the boats. And we normally have east wind, that's what the wind is. So I always go to the east side. If you go to the west side a little bit, it's more tidal there because the tide comes through the little canals that are to the west.
So let me add to that. If you're a catamaran, because I'm very familiar with the catamarans, no issue there as long as you follow the charts to cross over where it shows you should cross over. We don't have to worry because most catamarans don't go more than 4.5 feet. So
I've drawn a diagram of it so many times for boats going in there.
Nice.
If anybody wants
Is that
that.
online somewhere?
No.
but you
Okay,
can.
we'll get it. Then it will be soon.
Yeah, okay. And also just one other thing I wanted to say, you have to realize that this is a neighborhood of people who have homes there and they don't want loud music at night. So, be cooperative that way. And please don't hang your laundry out on your lifelines. They don't want to see that. Just
And
understand.
holding tanks, close your holding tanks.
Oh,
Amen.
yeah.
Yes.
the holding tank,
Yes.
so,
Well, they're just coming in.
Yeah, you
Yeah.
can't swim there. It's not bad. I
Mhm.
wouldn't swim there myself, but
So someone coming in and it's not the right tide or this place is full, what do we have as options for anchoring? Any?
Well, you can go south, go north. Go ahead.
well, a lot of people just anchor once they get inside the 17th Street Bridge. You can anchor on kind of the east side, just beyond Pier 66. You can anchor there, and just wait for the tide to come in. Or
Or you could go north to Las Olas, north of Las Olas Marina or Sunrise Lake,
exactly.
north of Sunrise Boulevard. That's another spot.
I was on a Mason 54 there this morning.
Oh, really?
Getting a new sail. If Art and Valerie are here, hello.
Yeah, so that's another option. North of Lake Sylvia is Las Olas Marina. There's a couple of boats that you can kind of squeeze in there if Lake Sylvia is full. Beyond that, going through the Sunrise Boulevard Bridge on the left after Coral Ridge Yacht Club is a pretty nice basin where you can drop anchor there. And if all of that is completely full, you can go another 5 miles, and that's Santa Barbara Lake, which is another very large basin. But you've got to get through a couple of other bridges, but that's your last resort if the others we just mentioned are not available.
That's pretty far north. Yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty far north.
Yeah, but Cynthia, you also know some good anchorages south.
Yes,
if you
south.
don't want to be in
So,
Fort Lauderdale.
so Bob, if you're okay, I'll explain.
Yeah,
As most of my clients that I deal with are down south, getting boats repaired or servicing or selling their boats. I'm familiar with the anchorages down there. So the first anchorage would be North Lake, which is about 3 miles south of Port Everglades. The second would be South Lake, which is literally a 1/4 mile past. So those are two really nice anchorages that you can easily drop hook before you go to a marina or decide to stay there for a couple of days before you get the work done on your boat. There's one other little spot as a backup if everything else is full, and that's just north of the Sheridan Bridge. There's a couple of boats that are anchored off there to the east, and you can drop anchor there as well. So that's 3 places where you could comfortably drop anchor before you decide to go into your marina, which might not be ready the day you come in.
Yep.
And let's not forget too that this is the intercoastal waterway, so there will be more bridges to call up on your VHF to open up for you.
Channel 9.
Channel 9. And don't forget that there's a lot of current running up and down there. because we were so close to the inlet. So just be cautious of that as well.
Yeah.
And on behalf of Fort Lauderdale natives, I have to say, if you do this on a weekend, you're going to see some of the most terrible displays of boat handling you've ever seen in your entire life.
And that's up the New River. So should we talk about the New River?
That's it.
That's
Yeah.
that's a scary thing.
I think that's more of the thing you brave on your dinghy. We'll get to that. When someone comes in and if they plan ahead, and maybe we should discuss how far ahead, but where can someone go if they want a hot shower, if they want some facilities? What are the marinas that are available?
Well, we'll start by going north again after you come into the Port Everglades Inlet and you go through the 17th Street Bridge. And when you take that right-hand turn to go to the east to get into Lake Sylvia, the next is a huge, very famous marina called Bahia Mar Yachting Center. It's got all the facilities, including swimming pools, a little grocery store. It's got laundry. It's got everything.
Beautiful pool, and it's right on the beach.
Yeah, it's right on the beach, right across the street from the
Right.
bridge. However, it comes at a cost, especially in the wintertime. Wintertime, of course, everything is up, and also they sometimes are absolutely full and you can't get in. So then you can go further, and there's several more marinas going further north.
Well,
the
the
city
Las
of-
Olas, but that's actually closing out.
Oh, that's
So
right.
yeah, so we're now talking about going New River
Go up the
to the
river.
lot to the.
Yeah.
So you can talk about that if you
Well,
like.
you can go up the New River. Now, going up the New River again, I always suggest to people to go against the tide because you have several bridges to open, 5 bridges to open to get up to
LMC.
LMC. And these bridges only open on demand and if there's no traffic. Again, you've got the hours when they're closed, Cynthia.
Yeah, they're closed from 7:30 to 9 in the morning and 4:30 to 6 where they're locked down, so you cannot go through.
And we should explain, the New River wasn't named recently. It was named a long time ago by Seminole Indians. And the city of Fort Lauderdale was named after the major who actually brought troops south, probably in some disagreement with those same Seminoles, and put a fort on the banks of the New River that you will pass when you're heading up like that. That is how Fort Lauderdale got its name.
That's interesting.
That is interesting. Yeah.
Thank you for that bit of history,
It's very,
Bob.
it's very close to Cooley's Landing.
Yes, yes.
Well, that's what I was going to suggest. You can you can go alongside the side of the New River. I think you have to talk to the
Dockmaster,
dockmaster.
Tim Dabo, which we can put at the end,
Yeah,
information, but
right.
yeah.
And then there's a marina at Cooley's Landing that Bob was talking about that you can go to.
it's also owned by the city, by the way.
That's
So
right.
yeah, there's one central source for all dockage along the New River, all the way up to LMC pretty much, or Cooley's Landing is the last of the city. So we can provide that information at the end as well.
And the banks of the river now are very social. It's dog walking, it's exercising, it's people strolling along.
It's beautiful, actually. It's
Along
beautiful.
Las Olas Boulevard,
Yeah.
super famous.
It's just to me, I've seen a lot of sailboats, especially with deep keels like mine. There is a lot of current in that river, and going alongside, or even when you leave, it's really best to go head to current and not try to go down current that could push you someplace. One other thing about going up the river, the 3rd bridge is a railroad bridge, and the railroad bridge is usually left up until a train comes, and that has no schedule really.
Mhm.
And I have their telephone number. I always call as I'm approaching to ask, is the bridge going to stay up till I get there? Or, what do I have to do to wait? And the bridge tender is very nice. He will tell you, if you hurry, you can get through, or that.
And I think they still have a countdown on it. Do they still have a timer on it where as you're going through, it says 10 minutes, 5
Yeah.
minutes, so you at least can see or pull to the side and you can just kind of tie up while the long train goes through.
Nice.
Yeah,
So,
okay.
all right, so marinas still, it's been a trip. You want to tie off, you want to be on land a little bit. We've covered how about Pier 66 under development, but where's that going?
Again,
That's long development.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's not really, I
I've-
think,
I've seen a lot of boats there lately that
Yeah.
because it's still a functioning marina, there's just no facilities.
right,
in
no
it.
facilities.
well, there's Royal Palm.
Yeah, excellent.
Royal
Yeah.
Palm, if you come into Port Everglades, you turn
Left.
south or
All right,
left.
yeah, well, there's
south or
three. There's Royal Palm, there's Harbor Town, and there is Hollywood City Marina. So those three are great marinas for sailboat, for monohull, catamaran, powerboat, and they're all about 3 to 5 miles south of Port Everglades. So those are all three. If you anchor where the places we mentioned to anchor, those are three options, but you're never going to get those marinas unless you book them ahead of time. So always be calling ahead and trying to get a spot, get a slip ahead of time, which is why we mentioned the anchorages, because it's very rare that you can actually come in and have somebody have a dock available. It's a wait list.
And just remember, if you come in Port Everglades, you turn south or left, well, like Cynthia said, and you go to what is called the Dinghy Cutoff Canal. You go down that canal, and that's where these marinas all are. And it's very, very protected, very protected, you know.
All right, I think the marinas do a good job and they're easily identifiable on the internet. We cover the anchorages, but one of the next questions that people are going to want to ask after okay, I've just dropped my hook, are where can I go with just a dinghy? How do I get ashore if I'm not at a dock? Now, talking before, we kind of identified 3 general areas that have dinghy access.
Right.
And one has been a staple of Fort Lauderdale sailing and cruising forever, and that's the whole 17th Street.
Can I tell you the story about that?
Please, please.
Yeah. Well, first of all, I'll explain where it is.
Yeah.
Okay, for those of you who anchor in Lake Sylvia, like we suggest, it's the closest place to anchor and it's very protected. You can get through those little islands underneath the bridges. And Cynthia just told me the furthest south bridge in Lake Sylvia is the one that's the easiest to get under in all states of the tide.
It's got the highest headroom. Yeah.
Okay, because you do have to play the tide in there, otherwise you'll get your head knocked off. So
Yeah, it's 3 feet high.
so, but if you go due west from Lake Sylvia, underneath those little bridges, go down the canal, cross the ICW, the Intercoastal Waterway, the very first canal you come to, at the very western end of it, is a restaurant called the Southport Raw Bar.
Right.
And it's been there ever since I moved here in 1968. And it's kind of a
Wow.
iconic place to come. And they have dockage for your tenders. And it's $10 a day. But if you eat a meal there, they deduct the $10 that you paid for staying there. Now, once you're there, you have grocery stores, shopping centers,
Laundry,
laundromats,
yeah. Mail, you can pick up your mail.
UPS, FedEx stores. You have
Uber, you could get an Uber
wine
and a
stores,
Lyft.
wine and liquor stores.
Yep.
Yeah, you have hardware stores, Ace Hardware stores, all within walking distance.
And I looked, yes, there's an Amazon locker where you could receive Amazon packages at the Ross Dress for Less.
Oh,
Yeah.
Oh,
great.
that's great. And the
Yeah.
gym, my gym, LA Fitness.
Yeah, so this
Yes,
place
you
is the
could.
closest. You have a Winn-Dixie store right across the street. So if you just need to get a bottle of milk or a loaf of bread, you can get it there.
Right.
And you have a Crown Wine and Spirits just 100 yards south of that for all of your
Good job.
drinking needs.
That's required.
So
Yeah.
I highly recommend it, but I have to tell the story. My honeymoon on this little 30-foot boat was in 1971. Okay, this is long before electronics. And if you saw a boat at sea, you would, out in the middle of the Atlantic, I'm talking about going from Fort Lauderdale to Falmouth, England. That was my honeymoon cruise. And we saw, as we were heading towards Falmouth, we saw this beautiful big schooner heading towards us. It had to be at least 80 feet. And we actually, even though the seas were pretty big, we hove to and we had a gam. That's what you would do. And they yelled to us, "Where are you bound for?" And we said, "Falmouth for orders." We used the British term.
Super proper.
When they said, "Where are you bound for?" we knew we had to respond with the British, thing, "Falmouth for orders." And then we yelled to them, "Where are you bound for?" And now don't forget, this boat of mine had the Australian flag on it, Sydney, Australia as the home port, nothing to do with North America. And they yelled to us, "Southport Raw Bar."
Yeah, it's pretty
The
famous.
middle of the Atlantic Ocean.
That is funny. Yeah.
So if they were headed there, you can be sure it's a good place to eat.
Yeah. So there's a couple of other places that people can dinghy too.
Good.
So we just talked about Lake Sylvia. Some other places are If you go north, like we mentioned, Sunrise Lake or Middle River, which is another last minute opportunity, which we can put at the end where exactly that is. There is a dinghy dock at 2 different parks. One's called Birch State Park and one's called George English. George English would be the better choice because again, it's close to Publix, Super Fresh, liquor stores, Galleria Mall on Sunrise. So
There's a
it's
CVS right
walking,
there.
CVS, yeah, a pharmacy.
Drugstore.
So some other options north. If you feel like going, venturing up the New River, and maybe you can get even a dock up there or just dinghy up. There's a couple of places. The Downtowner has free dinghy dockage, the Performing Arts and 3rd Avenue Landing. So 3 places where you can take your dinghy to go out, get on Las Olas Boulevard, check out all those beautiful stores and the restaurants, or go to Downtowner, which is similar to Southport Brawl Bar, really cool place to go have lunch.
And I'll say it's atypical of me for the guy to be the guy that talks about culture. But if you go downtown and you hit one of those docks, the art museum is right there.
Oh, yeah,
The
right.
science museum is right there. The library's up the street, Center for the Performing Arts, in addition to a lot of pretty good restaurants. There's a really good breakfast restaurant up
Called?
there. OB House.
Oh, yeah,
yeah.
yeah. All walking
Yeah,
distance.
I mean,
Yeah.
the New River trip in and of itself is interesting
It is, yeah.
and exciting. And then when you get there, it's kind of nice too.
I just want to say, we're giving you a lot of information here very quickly. And Bob is going to have all this information ready, typed up, and they can get this information later. Because if you can't scribble it down fast enough, don't worry about it, because we're mentioning a lot of places.
Unless she forgets.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right.
Something tells me no one will let me forget. Okay,
What
so
else?
that's great dinghy stuff. You've dinghied ashore or you're at a marina, but you don't have a car. You want to get around town. What are the options around here for short and longer distance travel?
Well, we have the free buses.
Yeah, we do. What's the schedule on? I mean,
I don't
what do
know.
you?
Sun
I
trolley?
just-
Yeah,
Is that what it's called?
Sun Trolley's one. I do the Uber. I suggest Uber, Uber or Lyft, or you can get to the Tri-Rail and go all the way down to Miami. If you need to go to the Miami airport or go down and just explore Miami, that's a really great
And
transportation.
Brightline too.
And Brightline,
Yeah.
right. So
There's 2 tracks. Tri-Rail's older, goes to the airports. Brightline goes to the city centers in Palm Beach and Miami.
but if you need a car for the week or so, go to the Miami Fort Lauderdale Airport, grab a car. It's literally 3 miles away. So you can just Uber to the airport, get a car, do all your provisioning, do all your runs around the West Marine, all the other places. Are we gonna talk about West Marine and some of the other?
Yeah,
Okay.
because you got to have a car to get there. So if you've got the car now or something like that, local knowledge. What are the places that people are going to need to go every time they're in Fort Lauderdale because they're going to need something? What do we got? Now you worked at West Marine.
I worked at West Marine for 22 years. I know every square inch of the place. Yeah, so you go to West Marine, a little further away, just a little further away is Boat Owners Warehouse, where you can go. This is, these are chandleries, okay? These are chandleries. If you need anything like electronics, there's Ward's Marine Electric, which again would be an Uber ride or a bicycle ride away from where they are. If you need paint or something like that, there's Gold Coast Marine that has all the kinds of paints. My favorite store of all those, McDonald's Hardware.
Yeah.
It's also just beyond West Marine. And this is where my husband used to live because it has everything.
Yeah,
that
it's
you
great.
need. I mean,
And let's not forget, if you're a cheap sailor, which we're used to, Sailorman is a great consignment store just down the road from West Marine. So it's a really cool place. Has pretty much everything, old, new. So it's a really fun store to spend some time in.
actually spend a lot of time there.
Yeah, yeah, it's good.
Yeah, fantastic.
You'll see a lot of my stuff there. Would you please buy it?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Any other boat specific stuff specific to?
Frank and Jimmy's Prop Shop
Oh,
is very important.
well, yeah, there's lots of, I mean, as far as, you need a car, but I'm used to, because I sell catamarans for a living. Most of my clients, the owners of the boats go south. So We use a lot of different services like at Harbor Town, we have just catamarans and they do electrical, mechanical, diesel. We use Sealand, so they do generator engines. We use for air conditioning. Matthews, we use, gosh, we have there's so many services south of the harbor where they're all based from like State Road 84 down to Loggerhead Marina, where my company is, that you can pretty much tap into any kind of a service. Mass Ocean, electrics, electronics, and lithium batteries, solar panels. Dedicated Marine does hardtops, Bimini hardtops, and also solar panels. So,
And I'll repeat, we are going to take this list that's in each of their heads, turn it into a little summary of all of this, have some names, have some contact information. And if you have registered for this webinar, you will get a link to it in an email that will come out when the video's up on YouTube in another couple of days.
yeah, and it's really important for people to know that we've used these services, so we know personally that these people do a really good job, like rigging. You know, you mentioned Florida Rigging, I mentioned Nansen Underwood. There's lots of reasons why both of those companies are great companies. So we just mentioned a few, there's plenty others, but we have firsthand knowledge of having really good service from these companies that we'll list in the end.
Yeah, like I will never recommend something I haven't used before
Right.
myself.
Right.
And also I know a lot of people who don't work for big companies who are just single people who do great work. So if you ever need any,
Less money and they're,
Yeah.
and they're their own enterprise.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah.
So that's
so
great.
there's a lot of those too. You can always call me up and ask me, this is what I need. Of course, there's the sail off that I would highly recommend as well.
Really?
Yeah. Let's see, what was it called? It was something to do with a compass. I'm trying to think what it was.
We've got a
Can you
flag
help me
over his
out?
head
Can you
saying
help me
North
out?
Sails.
So, and I'll tell you what, my friend Peter Grimm,
Amen.
has always been the best person you could ever have to come aboard your boat if you need any kind of sail work, sail repair work, or brand new sails.
Amen.
And I want to tell you something, I have become famous because people love me because I've recommended Peter with more sales. No, seriously.
Bobby does a lot of cats. So I hear a lot more
And
of Bobby
I'm
lately.
not saying that
We're
because Bob is
we're all
here.
the family, baby. All the family.
I'm not saying that because Bob is here. I'm just saying it's because it's the truth.
Great. Well, we've gone on for a while. I'm going to dump the screen share. Our contact information is here. So take a screen capture right now if you want it right away, or of course it'll be on the YouTube. But I want to jump in and take a look at some of the questions we might be getting. We haven't been ignoring you. The technological limits of the different stuff means we've had to.
I'd like to just make a quick statement that, you can also reach Fort Lauderdale coming down the Intercoastal Waterway. That's the other way entrance to Fort Lauderdale is coming down the ICW. And a lot of boats do that. And it's just coming in a different way. I'm sure by the time you get to Fort Lauderdale, you'll know exactly how to treat the bridge.
Yeah,
tenders.
if there's big breeze, inside it's always best.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Great.
And it's actually quite fun. I mean,
Well, some of it.
well, some of
it's
it,
pretty
I should
boring.
say. Some of it, I should say, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, well, we don't have anything live now, but we did have one earlier today. Let me go back and find that. Someone who saw it and asked us to cover it. Hi, I sail on the Chesapeake Bay, but I'm curious about the feasibility of putting my boat in Fort Lauderdale for the winter months. Do marinas offer berthing for the winter, or are there safe moorings available? Is this someone everyone wants to do? So it's $, $, $.
Well, can I, so we forgot to talk about, there is,
Private docks.
yeah, there are private docks that we can help you with that are much less expensive, because the marinas are double or triple the cost of behind a private residence. But behind a private residence is a non-liveaboard scenario. So you have to be willing to stay somewhere else. But there's a lot of homes along the New River, even along the Intercoastal, that are offering their docks for rent at a fraction of the marina cost. So that's something that, you know, we might be able to try to help you with, depending on what kind of a boat you have, what your conditions are, what time of the year. But it's always good to think about, there's lots of opportunity here to put your boat behind a private residence.
I'm one of those people that have I have a 75-foot dock, and I prefer to have a deep draft vessel there because I'm in one of the deepest canals in Fort Lauderdale. So if you have a vessel with a draft over 6 feet, give me a call and see if my dock is available.
Mhm.
I love having people at my dock. They become my best friends. Every time I've rented my dock, the people end up being like family. It's been so wonderful. But if you go to a little magazine or newspaper called the Waterfront Times, they have a classified section, and in the back of it, it has docks for rent. So that's a really good place. And then another place is called Dock
Dock
Finders,
finders, right? Yeah, they're good.
which help you also. I think there's a couple of companies in Fort Lauderdale, and you know it's really nice behind people's houses. I'm
And-
lucky. I'm so close to that shopping center that I was telling you about. If you went to the South Fort Raw Bar.
Yeah.
Oh, another really good restaurant besides South Fort Raw Bar is the Quarter Deck.
Yeah.
Across the
That's where
street.
just across the street,
Mhm.
and lots of people go there.
Yeah.
Great outdoor dining.
But let's face it, cruisers are cheap. We're all cheap. So it's really hard to justify spending $3,000 a month for a 40-foot, catamaran or 50-foot monohull. So it's a really good option. Tap into the local network like us and others to try to find a place for your boat where it's a private slip. And then we might be able to even help with hurricane season, getting the boat prepped for hurricane season, taking the main off and the head stay, having somebody look after your boat if you decide to keep it here and you have to go. So all those kinds of needs we can help you out with and at least lead you into the right direction of where to go.
And again, their contact information will be in the notes of this. Another question is, when is the high season? How far in advance do you need to make mooring reservations?
Well, moorings we don't really have,
Get that
so
one little field up by Las Olas Bridge.
yeah, not
No.
possible.
No?
No,
took it out?
moorings don't exist anymore, really.
Oh, okay.
It's anchoring or docks, yeah. So it's not like the New England, North
So
Mid-Atlantic.
if someone wanted to be here for the winter and they were willing to pony up, what do you think the time frame is for?
I'd say at least 4 or 5 months.
Yeah, several months in
Right.
advance.
Let me tell you, Fort Lauderdale is the hub for the boats coming down during the winter.
Yeah,
And that begins in October and it goes through the end of April.
yeah, May.
Yeah, May.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
if you're going to do that, I mean, I can help you with docks in my area. I have a lot of people in my area where I live, which is very close to the 17th Street Causeway.
Yeah,
And just 2 canals over from Southport Raw Bar.
yes.
And I know a lot of people who call me up and ask me, can you rent my dock?
Yeah.
So,
And I have that for catamarans because I
Yeah.
have the wider spaces as necessary.
Yeah, Fort Lauderdale's got some of that.
Yeah, we do.
Pam, someone wants to know if you can get into Lake Sylvia with an 8.5-foot draft
Whoa,
at high tide.
maybe.
no,
That's
Yeah.
tough.
I've been sailing a long time,
You can.
and
You can do
I
it.
think you can take the chance on it. However, my feeling is, if you're concerned about it, is to come and sound it with your dinghy, with the handheld
Yeah.
depth sounder before you go in to make sure, because I sure don't want you hung up there.
Yeah, there's one rock in the middle. When you're doing the
Oh,
cross,
yeah,
there's
I
one
hit the
rock in
rock.
the middle. So you have to be really
Yeah.
careful. So yeah, that's a great idea with the dinghy to
Mhm.
sound it out first.
And you can get those little handheld depth sounders, which I couldn't live without, and suss it out. And I have this little chart that I've done for people of getting in there, in the deepest area.
Mhm.
But with 8.5 feet,
The best bet is going north of Las Olas Bridge on the right after the Las Olas Marina. That's 10 feet, 12 feet right there. And it's easy, yeah.
Another
But-
Lake Sylvia question. Someone wants to know, how long can one anchor?
Oh,
Ooh.
there's usually a limit of like 5 days there. That's what they say. Sometimes derelict boats come in and they get upset, the homeowners, so they ask everybody to leave. So it's typically a 5-day anchor maximum, and you should respect that because it's really not meant to be a live aboard scenario, especially Oh, we didn't talk about pump out. So there's two pump out places in Fort Lauderdale, which are important to know. One is 15th Street ramp, boat ramp. And the other one is up the 3rd Avenue Bridge. If you find a dock along the New River, which by the way, there's a 5-month waiting list for the New River. I found out today. There is a pump out by the Stranahan House, which is a historic home along the New River. There's a pump out station there. So if you call ahead of time, channel 9, you can pump out your boat. But yeah, they do ask for you to stay no more than 5 days in Lake Sylvia.
So what you do is, like I do in
You
the
go.
Bahamas, you go out and come back in.
Yeah.
But there's also two good places to get fuel. One is right after you
Right.
come in the intercoastal waterway after going through the 17th Street Bridge. On your left-hand side, it's a great restaurant as well.
15th Street Fisheries.
15th Street Fisheries.
Yeah.
And right, they have expanded tremendously.
It's beautiful
outside.
now.
Yeah.
It's
But
a good
that's a
marina.
really good fuel dock. But again, play the tide going in there, not for depth, but for current, because don't ever try to get in there. With a
Down current.
down current.
Yeah.
I'm going to tell you, you get into trouble.
Where's
Always
the other
come up.
place for fuel?
Bahia Mar.
Oh, right.
Bahia
We
Mar
saw that.
Yachting Center.
Great.
Mhm.
Cynthia, cat question. Someone's looking for a permanent dock for a 55 cat, but doesn't trust the internet sites because some of them seem too good to be true, like $100. Are there scammers on these sites? Are there any way to go through the options without hundreds of phone calls?
Yeah, that is kind of true, unfortunately. A 55-foot cat, that's pretty tough. That would have to be some of the
canals.
places near her canal, because she has a 55 cat, it's about a 6-foot draft. So it would need a lot of draft. So also the New River, 55-foot cat can't even get up the New River because we have a 78-foot maximum mast height. And I think that exceeds the 78-foot because
Power lines.
there's one power line by the 3rd Avenue Bridge that it sometimes drops too low, so not safe. So I would
Yeah,
say
they
that
stretch and sag. I learned that.
they
That's
do, they sag,
that's a
yeah.
scary thing.
It is scary, yeah, depending on the weather.
Yeah.
So if you're interested, call me, Catamaran Guru. I'd be able to help out because there are some places, like Pam said, maybe a little bit east along here. Private residence is the best scenario for a boat like that.
And again, direct lines to both of these fountains of wisdom and knowledge will be available on the site in the comments at the end of it. So we had a New River question. How long do they let you stay along the New River?
Oh, forever, if you pay rent. Yeah, so if you're paying rent, it's actually pretty cheap compared to the marinas. And if you're a boat US member, you get 10 days free. You get 10 days free out of your month-long dockage. So that's pretty cool, but they're way backed up. They have 80 boats on the list right now.
Does it cover the anxiety medication you have to buy because of the super yachts going by?
Yeah, yeah, that's another story. Many of the big super yachts require a towboat front and back that look like really scary if you've got a monohull where you can't maneuver, or a cat like a 55 cat. It's really scary in the New River. I feel like we're
But
really
they're-
scaring people.
But they're always on the VHF telling you when they're coming.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
it's not like they're going to surprise you around the bend. If you have your VHF on, they will tell you when they're coming under
Yeah.
tow. And you have to realize that there's a lot of traffic. And you
Yeah.
have to
You just have to be really competent and prepared to maneuver quickly in the New River. It's a great place to go if you can find dockage. It's the cheapest dockage in Fort Lauderdale is along the New River, but it is a lot. There's a lot of traffic, so you have a lot of bumping with your boat against the seawall. So you have to have a lot of fenders out, inside and out.
Great. So, well, we've run out of most of the questions here. Want to thank both of you very, very much
Oh,
for
you're
this.
welcome. We
I
had fun.
always
right?
like hanging out.
We
with
always have fun.
Always.
Lots
Again,
more.
since you're registered for this, you will be getting an email with the recording to this, to the video itself, and also a little written summary that's going to be posted that'll list this and a lot more information. So anyway, thank you very much. We hope you enjoyed it and got something out of it.
Thank you.
Thank you. We look forward to hearing from you.